Well, folks, we've got two major weather systems heading our way that are really going to shake things up across the country. These storms are bringing some serious concerns, including the potential for dangerous severe weather with tornado threats across the Southeast and Ohio Valley. Meanwhile, we're tracking a significant winter storm that's about to sweep through the northern plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes region. This storm is arriving just in time for Thanksgiving, and some areas could see up to 2 feet of snow. So in today's forecast, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about the weather patterns affecting us over the next week. Let's start with what's happening today. We're just 2 days out from Thanksgiving, and there's a powerful storm system moving through the southeast, including what we call Dixie Alley. This region is facing more severe thunderstorms today, with the possibility of damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes. At the same time, there's another major storm system across the northern plains. Here's what makes this interesting. This northern system is going to merge with what's left of our southeastern storm later today, and that combination is really going to fuel some heavy snowfall tonight and tomorrow, particularly across North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So we're looking at some significant weather events over the next few days. Now, there's a lot to cover in this forecast: snow threats, severe weather, and another major storm system coming after Thanksgiving. But let me focus first on today's severe weather risk. This is particularly important because of the tornado potential. We have a slight risk of severe weather across central Alabama, extending into southeastern Mississippi. There's also a marginal risk across southeastern Tennessee and along the Gulf Coast, where tornadoes are a primary concern today. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a 5% tornado probability within that slight risk area. Today is definitely a day to stay weather aware, make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather warnings, and have your tornado safety plan ready to go. We may also have a live storm coverage stream on this channel later today. So please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll know if we go live. I think today's tornado threat is going to be a bit more elevated than what we saw yesterday across the Deep South. This is mainly due to some curved wind patterns aloft that will work perfectly with the smaller storm cells we're expecting today. I know this might sound a bit technical, but today's storms won't be very tall, but they'll take advantage of significant wind shear across the southeast. By late morning, we'll continue to have conditions favorable for at least a couple of quick-spin tornadoes. This will primarily affect central and southern Alabama through about noon. After noon, that's when I expect things to intensify a bit. Our main tornado window will be from about 11 a.m. until about 4 p.m. this afternoon, with the highest risk corridor running from Huntsville, Alabama, all the way down to Mobile, where a few supercells will try to develop. These will be compact storms, but any that get organized in today's environment will be capable of producing a tornado or two. Generally speaking, conditions will remain favorable for quick-spin tornadoes all the way through sunset. After sunset, things should start to calm down. But overall, today's atmospheric setup is definitely conducive to tornado development. Now, here's our timing for today's severe weather. Right now, we have a line of thunderstorms moving across Alabama and Georgia. This is actually helping to stabilize the atmosphere across northern Alabama and northwestern Georgia. But as we head into late morning, that line will weaken quickly, which will open the door for new storms to fire up by late morning into early afternoon. By as early as 10 to 11 a.m., we could see some supercells starting to organize and rotate, possibly producing tornado threats. By around 11 a.m. near Mobile, and by noon to 1 p.m., these storms will continue moving northeast. Notice how these storms will be quite small overall, but any of them can develop rotation in today's environment. We could see the threat of a couple tornadoes during late morning and early afternoon. By 3 to 4 p.m., we'll still be watching an environment that remains fairly favorable for tornadoes, especially in central Alabama, just south of Huntsville. I do think a tornado or two will be possible in this corridor during the mid to late afternoon. Then, after 6 p.m. tonight, the storm threat should start to diminish. We'll see increased atmospheric capping, which basically means temperatures will be rising as you go higher up, particularly in the lower atmosphere around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Overnight, things will be much quieter across the southeast, with just a few rumbles of thunder remaining across the Carolinas and southeastern Georgia. As we move into Wednesday, the southeast will be much calmer. Now, while all this severe weather is happening, we're going to see some significant snowfall over the next couple of days, especially across the northern plains and Midwest. Here's what we're seeing this morning. Heavy snow is already moving across northern Minnesota and North Dakota. Some areas have already picked up 4 to 8 inches of snow since yesterday, and this is just the beginning. This storm system is going to strengthen significantly as it moves into the Great Lakes region later today and tonight. By tomorrow, which is Thanksgiving Day, we're looking at widespread heavy snow across much of Wisconsin, Michigan, and parts of Illinois and Indiana. Now, let me show you our snowfall forecast for this storm. The heaviest snow, we're talking about 12 to 24 inches, will be across northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, and parts of Minnesota. This is where the storm will be most intense. Areas like Duluth, Minnesota, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan could see close to 2 feet of snow by the time this system moves out on Friday. Moving south, we're looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow across southern Wisconsin, much of Michigan, and northern Illinois, including the Chicago metro area. Chicago could see 6 to 10 inches of snow, which would make for some challenging travel conditions on Thanksgiving. Further south, including Indianapolis and Detroit, we're looking at lighter amounts, maybe 2 to 6 inches. But even these lighter amounts could cause travel problems, especially since this is one of the busiest travel days of the year. Now, there's one more thing to keep in mind with this storm. Lake effect snow. As this system moves through, we'll have very cold air flowing over the relatively warm Great Lakes. This will create bands of heavy lake effect snow, particularly downwind of Lakes Superior, Michigan, and Erie. Areas like western and northern Michigan, parts of Wisconsin, western New York, and northwestern Pennsylvania could see additional heavy snow from lake effect. Some of these areas might pick up an extra 6 to 12 inches, on top of what they get from the main storm. So if you're in these lake effect zones, you could be looking at total snow amounts of 18 to 30 inches by Friday morning. The timing of this storm is particularly unfortunate since it's happening right during Thanksgiving week travel. If you're planning to drive through the Midwest or Great Lakes region on Wednesday night or Thursday, you're going to encounter some very challenging conditions. I'd strongly recommend considering alternative travel plans or at least delaying your departure until Friday if possible. But generally speaking, if you're further inland or away from the lakes, snow accumulations won't be quite as significant, with most areas seeing about 3 to 6 inches right around Thanksgiving. But again, if you're right along the lakeshore, especially in areas like northwestern Michigan, western New York, or northwestern Pennsylvania, or near places like Watertown, New York, those will be the hot spots where you could see localized areas of 1 to 2 feet of snow. Elsewhere, expect more widespread snowfall of 3 to 8 inches outside of those localized heavy areas. Now, after this winter storm passes, we're going to be talking about a very different weather pattern as we head into this weekend and next week, which brings us into early December. Our large-scale weather pattern will feature a broad low-pressure system across the southwest and along the west coast. Basically, this will help pump a lot of moisture into the Great Plains, the southeast, and the Ohio Valley. We'll have what I call a battle zone setup for next week, where we'll see a front separating very cold air from very warm air. This means we could have a zone of severe weather, snow, and even ice in some places. We might see multiple storm systems next week, or we might just have 1 or 2 storms that produce all these different weather phenomena, snow, severe weather, and a lot of other challenges. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. But overall, the weather pattern we're heading into for early December reminds me somewhat of what we saw in January or February this year, when we had several different winter storms bringing ice, snow, and severe weather all at the same time. So the bottom line is, the first week of December is going to be one that you'll want to watch closely for any severe weather risks. We'll talk more about the future radar in just a bit, but first, I want to show you the temperature trends for the next 7 to 10 days. We'll have a cold air mass moving through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast on Wednesday and Thursday. Unfortunately, this cold snap is arriving just before Thanksgiving, so most areas along the East Coast will have a pretty chilly Thanksgiving day. Friday and Saturday, that cold air mass will linger, and then we might see another shot of cold air Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, bringing even colder temperatures to the Great Plains, Midwest, and throughout the Great Lakes region. This means it's going to be quite cold for the foreseeable future, especially if you're in the Midwest. And we could see more cold shots as we head into the first days of December, particularly in the Northeast. Then, as we move into the second week of December, things become much more uncertain. But it's almost certain we'll be dealing with a lot of cold air as meteorological winter begins. Now, let me break this down more simply with our future radar. Here's what we're looking at over the next few days. Again, a major snowstorm will move through the Great Lakes and Northeast on Thursday and Friday. By Saturday, we'll have at least a brief snow event across the Midwest and Ohio Valley. This could potentially develop into a more significant storm system. It's still a bit early to say exactly what will happen on Saturday, but I think we'll at least see light to moderate snow in those areas on Saturday. Sunday and Monday, severe weather could become a concern across the deep south and southeast, but again, it's still early to say exactly what will happen there. And beyond this point, things get very complicated. The forecast models are quite different right now about anything beyond Sunday. One thing to watch is whether moisture continues to flow in from the Pacific and whether we continue to have a high-pressure system positioned north of all this moisture. If that happens, we could see a very active start to next week, with lots of snow, rain, and severe weather. However, that may not happen. The European model has suggested we'll have a fast-moving storm system on Saturday and Sunday, and then high pressure will quickly move down from Canada, essentially blocking any moisture from the Pacific and keeping most of it around the Gulf of Mexico. This would mean snowstorms and severe weather would be less likely next week. So there are several different scenarios right now, and hopefully by tomorrow's forecast, we'll have a clearer picture of what will unfold next week. But either way, the next 7 to 10 days will be a very active weather period. Please remember to subscribe to the channel as we'll be the first to let you know about any major weather changes in the forecast. And here's an important announcement. We now officially have cheese curd merchandise available, that's my cat's name, in our store at shopmaxvelocity.net. We're also running a Black Friday sale right now. The details are at the top of the page. You can use the code BLACKFRIDAY to save $5 on orders of $50 or more. We have t-shirts available, plus crew neck sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, coffee mugs, and even kids t-shirts. You can check out all the products at shopmaxvelocity.net. The link is right at the top of the description below. And I'll see you in the next video, or possibly in a live stream later today.